Hey, Christmas over here. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and happy New Year. Welcome into a very merry Monday mayhem. Holy fucking shit, we are here. It is the semifinals, most likely, of your fantasy football playoffs, and we are still fighting.
Jesus Christ! Nope. Just jolly old Saint Nick.
When the ones you love are there, you can feel the magic in the air.
Oh, God! There you go. Stocking stuffer.
Something about Christmas time. Something about Christmas. Tell me Christmas will never go away.
Man, it is a wonderful holiday season, but for many, it will be a season of lamentation and frustration as there were many fantasy players that have let you down. If you guys have any last minute start sit questions, any just unrelated questions, ask me anything, fucking holiday questions, even drop them in the comments. We are here for a good time, but not for a long time. It is Christmas. I'm assuming people got shit to do. I might be by myself, but I'm going to go and prep a nice little buffet meal for myself because I am alone for the holidays. I get to enjoy all the football action, all of the live long day. So I'm going to go make myself a nice little feast of kiss. And then me and my co-host here, Rocky, we're going to enjoy some NFL Christmas action. So again, if you guys got any last minute questions, feel free to dump them in the comments. In the meantime, just while I'm waiting real quick, I'll just run through some of the games that have happened and how they've affected us. Starting with Patriots at Broncos, 4-11 Patriots against the 7-8 Broncos somehow overcome the odds the Patriots do and win 26-23. A lot of gross in this game, but the main priority here is that Zeke was relevant and had a good fantasy game. And then on the flip side, for the Broncos, they mostly disappointed you. Courtland Sutton especially, unfortunately, went into concussion protocol and goosed you after having a great season. So you might be in a little bit of tilt, especially because also Cowboys-Dolphins hit the under, which I had predicted, unfortunately. I was hoping against hope that it would actually hit the over and be a little more of a barn burner. It did not. Very much two teams with winning records that have beat up on bad teams all year. There was a little push come to shove. Something had to give because both of the Cowboys and the Dolphins basically had not beat a team with a winning record. So obviously one of them had to lose this game. And the fact that they kind of fought each other down to 22-20, it makes sense. It was gross. So, Tyreek from a PPR standard did well. Mostert thankfully got into the end zone, but Achane once again disappointed. I didn't really check in on Jalen Waddle, but I don't think he did anything massive. And Tua, once again, decent football day, but not great for fantasy. Only had the one touchdown. And then on the Cowboys side, it was like, again, CeeDee Lamb really kept you going and not much else. So, again, you might be having to play all your upside players on this last day of football. Cardinals, Bears. Bears 27 over the Cardinals 16. James Conner, wildly relevant for fantasy in this game. Unfortunately, on a lot of people's benches because the Bears have been playing really well. Justin Fields came through with a big game, but unfortunately, DJ Moore seemed like he was battling injury throughout the entire game, and he ended up not really having a great day for fantasy. Not a great day at all, actually. Buccaneers at Jaguars. Buccaneers trounced the Jaguars, like really beat them up good. The one thing that was unfortunately about this game on the Buccaneers side was that Chris Godwin kind of disappeared again. It was 6 for 78, so it didn't kill you, but obviously you were hoping that he would have got one of those touchdowns that ended up going to Mike Evans, who had another massive fantasy day. Rashad White found the end zone again, even though, again, it's so inefficient. He ran 20 times for 39 yards, and yet because he had the touchdown, because he had 6 for 38 through the air, he was very relevant for fantasy. And then Seahawks Titans 20-17 for the Seahawks. That was kind of gross. Derrick Henry, thank God, turned into a quarterback. They brought Ryan Tannehill back as a quarterback just for Derrick Henry to end up throwing the touchdown pass. So I thought that was funny. But it means that Derrick Henry, thankfully, had a really good fantasy day. The Seahawks, man, the Seahawks wide receiver splits have been really, really hard to deal with. Basically, Tyler Lockett, from a PPR perspective, got it done 8 for 81. JSN kind of got it done 6 for 61. And then DK Metcalf was the one that got the touchdown, 4 for 56 and a tutty. So you got production from all three, but it feels like they are definitely capping each other's ceiling. So that's definitely something to keep of note. If Tyler Lockett hangs around on the Seahawks roster next year, I'm still not going to be convinced that JSN is going to have this wild breakout while also sharing with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Now, if Tyler Lockett were to leave either through trade or free agency, I'm not really sure what the contract situation is there, then obviously that would change JSN's upside in particular. Commanders at Jets. This was just ridiculous. I mean, the Commanders' defense is officially, to me, the worst in football when you're getting beat up by the Jets. And then somehow the Jets almost jets their way into losing this game. Ultimately, Breece Hall had a massive fantasy day, which was great. On Sunday Live, I said, trust Breece Hall. I definitely had him in the best ball lineup. Only ended up winning a couple bucks on it because Chris Godwin didn't really come through the way that I thought he would, but Breece Hall did, and he was immense. But on the Commanders side, the fact that Sam Howell got pulled again for Jacoby Brissett, like, I don't understand what they're doing at this point. They may as well just start Jacoby Brissett. The only really thing of note for fantasy, I mean, Logan Thomas caught a touchdown. That's very hit or miss. But Chris Rodriguez, I drafted him. I'm just patting myself on the back for this more than anything. I drafted him in like the third round of my 16-team dynasty league. So I think it was at like the 15th spot in the third round. So very late, basically what would be a fourth round pick in most leagues. But I took Chris Rodriguez, and I think it was not the year before, 2021. It might have been, no, it was 2022. Sorry. Kyren Williams was my other one that I hit on the year before. So the late running back whisperer for rookies seems to be kind of my go-to in that dynasty league. Lions Vikings. This was big news of the day. Lions clinch the division, the NFC North, for the first time in like 30 years. So massive shout out to the Detroit Lions fans, just from a real life football perspective, but then also from a fantasy perspective. Amon-Ra had a huge day. Jahmyr Gibbs had another big day. Even David Montgomery was relevant. Basically all the assets that you needed for fantasy, except unfortunately for Sam Laporta, who kind of ghosted you a little bit here. And Jared Goff really actually only had one touchdown. So it was kind of mid from Goff. But yeah, Sam Laporta only 3 for 18. That kind of stung, I bet. And then the Vikings, Ty Chandler, if it wasn't for the touchdown that he got, would have been completely irrelevant and would be definitely a scary play for me in the championship next week. So that's just something to monitor. 8 carries for 17 yards and a tutty, and no targets from what I see here. So that would have been really fucking rough. And Nick Mullins obviously had a horrendous game, even though he threw for 400 yards and 2 tutties. Saved you from a fantasy perspective, but it was rough for a while. And then Justin Jefferson finally came back and was like true Justin Jefferson. So that was nice to see. But the real story of the day, let's not undersell it. Joe Flacco and the Browns are heading to the playoffs. 10-5. Browns beat up on an injured Texans team who fall to 8-7, 36-22. Amari Cooper with the Christmas Day blast off game. A couple years ago was Alvin Kamara. You got Kamara. This year it's you got Coopered. Even in my league where there is no, like, it's the toilet bowl, right? So there's no prize on the line except that if you finish last in toilet bowl, you are banished. You are eliminated for 1 year. So that league, the 4 people that were basically competing this week who are going to find themselves in the toilet bowl competing for the right to stay in the league, one of them got Coopered. So it was really funny. That guy was on full tilt because he's now going to be in the toilet bowl. So it's going to be, one of them is the co-commissioner, ironically enough, and the other one is a good buddy of mine. So both of them are going to be going probably head to head, barring any Christmas miracles. And they are going to be fighting it out, like I said, for the right to stay in the league. And then at the top end, the 1 seed also probably going to get bounced this week. So very, a lot of league tilting performances the last 2 weeks, where if you were a 3 to 6 seed this year heading into the playoffs, you might be actually crushing it and on your way to a fantasy championship. So if that's the case for you, congratulations. If you've found your way out of the playoffs, then truly I am sorry for you. I think it's time to have a few drinks and maybe kick that. All right, real quick, we don't have any questions in the comments. Not that surprising on Christmas Day. I didn't really expect to have a lot of people for this live stream or a lot of questions per se, with only 3 games left. So I'm only doing 20, 30 minutes anyways, and we're already getting close to, I'm going to wrap this up. So we'll just run through quickly. Packers at Panthers. I can't believe the Packers almost blew this game. 7-8 Packers versus the 2-13 Panthers, 33-30. Big Jordan Love game. He was definitely a key component in this win. 219, 2 touchdowns, and also a rushing touchdown, which was crazy. It's funny because I had a bunch of I had some like little bets on this game and a couple others. Like I had David Njoku over yardage, a couple other ones, and the one that I thought was a little risque was Jordan Love over 10.5 rushing yards. So he finished with 12 rushing yards. And then the one I thought was an absolute lock, David Njoku, that was the one that went under. I think it was like 55.5 receiving yards or 65.5 receiving yards, whatever it was. He ended up hitting the under, even though he had a touchdown and a good fantasy day. So that's just the nature of the beast that is fantasy football. But Jordan Love ultimately had a good day. Aaron Jones, 21 for 127. That was nice to see. Romeo Doubs had a touchdown. Dontavian Wicks was a popular stream and basically would have done nothing if he hadn't caught the touchdown. So thank God for that. And then on the Panthers side, Chuba Hubbard scored. So that was good, but he only had 16 for 43 otherwise. Wasn't that involved in the pass game. It was a monster DJ Chark day. You want to talk about everyone's talking about George Pickens and T. Higgins and how George Pickens was on so many benches. I would love to see if DJ Chark was in any starting lineups yesterday. Probably only in the deepest of dynasty leagues, I would imagine. But DJ Chark 6 for 98 and 2. And a decent Bryce Young day. Like, Bryce Young has had a beleaguered season, obviously being compared to CJ Stroud, who's had immense success with the Houston Texans. It was just nice to see for Young to have like a strong performance. If he can put a couple more together down the stretch, that would be good for his future prospects, obviously, in Carolina. And finally, Arthur Smith, the villain that he is, still fighting for the division, comes in, and Bijan Robinson had a good fantasy day, but could have had a better one. Just saying. Tyler Algier, 9 for 69 and a tutty. Bijan went 12 for 72, but he also had 7 for 50, so that's where you got the rest of your fantasy production. And then Kyle Pitts, 3 for 49 and a tutty. That's basically like max Kyle Pitts efficiency this year. And Drake London disappointed again, 3 for 39. And then on the Colts side, it was again, thank God Jonathan Taylor scored, because 18 for 43 otherwise, nothing through the air. Really poor game for the Colts in general. Josh Downs had 6 receptions, but for only 39 yards. Alec Pierce only mustered 3 for 30. Excuse me. So again, rough game for the Colts. Gardner Minshew also really let you down in a big spot. Minshew Mania died on Christmas Day. 201 for no tutties and an INT. And that's it for recaps. Look, I'll just check and see. Hey, we got some questions kind of filtering in the actual Q&A. Down by 31, Jacobs is out. Do I pick up Zamir White and play him or Zay Flowers? I would definitely play Zamir White. Zay Flowers has a really tough matchup and is also banged up. Zamir White is a much safer floor, in my opinion, with Josh Jacobs out. We saw it last week. He is going to get basically the majority of the rushing work. Looks like I'm going to the ship after tonight's game, as long as his 3 don't outpoint mine by 60. So he's got Devontae Adams and Brandon Ayuk going up against Jalen Hurts, Rashee Rice, and Kevin Byard. So this must be a IDP league. Ooh. But yeah, no, you're safe, in my opinion, with the fact that you've got 2 players still and that 50-point lead. And I expect Devontae Adams to actually have a good game, even though he's going to see the primary coverage in Kansas City. I still think he's going to do well. So, yeah, I think you're safe there. Flex 1 half-point PPR, Zamir White, Brandon Ayuk, or Gus Bus. Now, that is a tough one for me. I kind of like Gus Bus in this game. They've shown, the Ravens have, that when they get down inside that 5-yard line, they are going to kind of try and beat their way in with the Gus Bus. So I like that. But Brandon Ayuk on the other side of the ball, especially because it feels like the Ravens would prioritize Debo and CMC. So you think Brandon Ayuk maybe has a big game? But Zamir White, the talent gap for me between Ayuk and these other 2 guys is enough that I think I'm going to go with Ayuk if I need upside. So if I'm down big, I'm down 20 points and they have another player still, I think I would go with Brandon Ayuk and hope for like a monster game where it ends up being like a lot of him getting the touchdowns over, again, like Debo and CMC and Kittle, and it can happen. They kind of do switch off week to week. And then if I'm on the flip side, though, if I'm the one that's up 20 and I only have one spot left and I can pick one of these three players, I think I would go with Zamir White. No, actually, no, I can't do it. I think I'm going with Brandon Ayuk no matter what. I think I'm going to go with talent over position and matchup. And I also don't like the matchup. Kansas City defense has been pretty good this year. Obviously, San Francisco has a great run defense. It feels like with Zamir White and Gus Bus, if they do not get a touchdown, you will be incredibly disappointed. If Brandon Ayuk does not get a touchdown, he can still get 5 for 100. That's kind of where my thinking is at. I really just want to go with the more talented player on the better team in what to me is a do or die spot. I think final answer I'm going with Brandon Ayuk. All right. Well, that's it for me. Real quick show here today. Nobody chilling in the comments. That's perfect. We will just arrivederci on out of here. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's and Happy Holidays to everyone. I will be back later tonight. It's just the recap reaction show. It will be live because it's just easier for me to produce nowadays. But yeah, live tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come and join in the celebration or lamentation, frustration of your fantasy football semifinal results. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been a fantastic year so far. Still going to be with you guys through the end of the fantasy football season, and then we will dial back the shows. Probably going to go all the way down to one a week. But for now, like I said, see you guys tonight at 7 Eastern. Catch you on the flip side.